Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Cara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for another one today. Today is Sunday and you know it's mimosas and makeup. I have my mimosa here in my Massanutten and Water Park, Virginia cup here. But in any case, it is mimosa. Now today we're going to be playing with the Verona palette from Nomad Cosmetics. So if you want to see 4 looks with that, the swatches, and just hear my thoughts, keep watching this video. Let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with someone that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. All right, y'all, I hope you are doing well. This look makes me feel very cheerful. So this is the latest release from Nomad Cosmetics. This is the Verona Amor y Morte palette. It is an intense color palette and it was designed on location, finding love in the streets of Verona. And this palette helps support the World Wildlife Fund. So yes, this palette is cruelty-free and vegan, and it has a 12-month shelf life. Now, Nomad always, puts some little special things inside of their palettes, and this one is no different. So we get the Verona card. Fall in love with Verona, setting for a love story like no other. We hope our Verona Love and Death palette inspires you to create a masterpiece of your own. Yeah. Just a little bit more about the palette. The shades in the palette will also be shown as singles. The destination is Verona, which was made famous by Romeo and Juliet. And the palette has the fiery love side and the sorrowful death side. Love blossoms on the left with pink blushes and rich roses turning into intense reds and scarlets of passionate love. Death consumes the right with cool tones of woeful grays, tragic blues, deep violets, and the completeness of black. 12 mattes and 6 shimmers. By the way, the World Wildlife Fund protects all animals, including lovebirds. I will put the price for this palette in the description box. Now, there's also here the Juliet Club Verona, where you can actually write a letter to Juliet on the other side of the card, and then they enclose an envelope here, a prepaid envelope at that, and then upon receiving it they will mail your envelope to Juliet and Verona, and then you will wait patiently and receive a reply of love advice. I'm here for it. So you saw the palette when I was reading the description, and you can see that it has this kind of duality vibe. Let's go ahead and get into the swatches. So I decided to swatch the palettes separately, and looking at that kind of love side, my initial thought was the Melt Gemini 2 palette and how a lot of those pinks and reds all showed up the same on me. So one of my major concerns is how different can I make these look? But as you can see in the intro, I think you can tell that I have on 2 different looks that came from this side of the palette. All of the swatches are beautiful. The mattes are really, really pigmented. The shimmers are a bit hard pressed, and I think you are gonna have to do some building with the ones on this side. And now let's take a look at the Death side, which this side I think is truly unique to the brand, and just as a palette by itself, these 9 shades to me are a color story that I don't have anything like. And the standout for me is the shade Tragedy. Now, although this one is harder pressed as well, I think it picks up a bit better than the other shimmers in the palette. This one, I mean, you really don't have to do a lot of digging with it, but all the shimmers are beautiful. This one just happens to be my favorite. I love, again, the mattes in the palette, and I really love seeing both of the color stories swatched out because you can see the slight differences in those pink, blush, and red shades, and then you can definitely see the variety of the mattes on the Death side. All right, you guys, so now what we're gonna do is get into 4 looks. I'm gonna do 2 with the Death palette first, and then these 2 with the Love side, and then I'll be back to let you know what I think about the palette overall. Hey y'all, so I feel like this is the first look I've done in such a long time. I've been so busy decluttering and all that good stuff that, had to check, make sure my mic was on, that I just haven't been doing any eyeshadow really, at least not on camera. As you already know, we're playing with the Verona palette from Nomad Cosmetics, and I wish I could just stop and film when things come, but it's just not how things are set up for me. So we're gonna go ahead, and I'm really inspired by the Death side of the palette, so that's what I'm gonna go ahead and start with. I've already got an idea in mind, and I'm not sure when this video is going up, but this, I'm thinking 2 looks with each side, because this side here especially is really, it's really moving to me. So let's do something. Let's do 1 look on each eye, because that's what this palette is saying to me. And I already have an idea for the first look. Let's start with Dagger, and I'm gonna use this Dose of Colors blending brush. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of circle this in. I have on the matte paint pot primer in soft ochre. Ooh, okay. This coolness is calling me. Let me find out I really do like cool shades. That's crazy. It's been, and I feel like it's been a minute since I've done like a real look. I did a little something for work today, but it's always a rush now because of the start time, 7:20. Like, I'm good with this. I'm good with it. We'll put a little more on, but I'm good with it. And now let's go into the shade Dark. I'm gonna use the same brush, and we're gonna do this kind of halo style. I'm already liking this already. Like, yes, yes, yes. Little fallout right here. Just gonna take it in the crease, the outer corner, and then a little bit on the inner part of the lid, and then leave a space open in the middle for the shimmer. I could probably take a smaller brush here, like a crease brush, to really get in this area. Good. Now, one thing I don't really do a whole lot is, especially when I'm just trying out a palette, is use like a glitter glue or anything. So what I'm gonna do is take my shimmer and put it in the middle, but then I'm probably gonna enhance it with the Dora line, because that's what I usually find with Nomad. Like, some of their shimmers can use a little enhancement, but I'm not sure. These look really good, and I have not swatched this palette yet at this time, so we're gonna see. Going into Tragedy, and I'm just gonna take my finger and put that in the center of the lid, and we're just gonna see, and then if I need to, this is so beautiful, y'all. I will use something else. This is a really pretty shade. So, you know, we're really going monochromatic, and you know what? I tend to like monochromatic. I'm just gonna accept it about myself. I really love monochromatic looks. I like, you know, looks with a bunch of colors too sometimes, but for the most part, I like the look to be really cohesive. So just gonna accept that about myself in 2023, and I'm gonna accept this shade without any type of, oh my God, all their shimmers need to be like this, because I'm not putting anything on this. Like, for what?
Mom, how much pizza?
So, one, come back, what? But you might change your mind. Okay, so you're saying that Marky can have both pieces. Okay, you can have 2.
Two?
You may have 2. Okay, that's because August ate macaroni and cheese and rice before he ate pizza, so. All right, I don't need anything else for this shade. This, oh yeah, ooh, this. I need Nomad to give me these shimmers in every single palette, because it doesn't happen in every palette. Like, I am fine with this look. I'm great with this. So let's just finish it up. Taking an e.l.f. smudger brush and just putting that on the lower lash line. Ooh, yes. And then going back into Dark on the outer part. Oh yeah, This is pretty. I'm so sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Now we need an inner corner. Wait. Just gonna take this Bristles Beauty P06 RF brush and go what do we want to go into? So I think I'm going to go into Tomb because I don't think I'm going to use that shade. I was going to go into a shimmer. I might. Let's just check out Tomb just so we can see what it looks like as a matte inner corner highlight. Oh, I don't think this is bad. Not bad at all. See, you know what? I'm here for it. I'm here for Tomb. We're going to go ahead with that. And it's sad because I know I ranked Nomad Cosmetics low. Low, not even lower. Let's not even do that. Low, call it what it is. On my eyeshadow formula list. And I'm thinking about going back and redoing it because here's the thing, like there are brands that have mattes that are better than the shimmers and vice versa. So like with Notoriously Morbid and Nomad, that's the issue. Like the shimmers in Notoriously Morbid, yes. The mattes, I'm like, they're okay. Nomad, the mattes are great. And then the shimmers are like, it just depends on the palette. So I couldn't rank it high. Like, but if it was this, come on everybody, would have been higher. I like this. There's the first look, very simple. What do we use? 1, 2, 3, 4 shades. I'm into simplicity, soft life. So yes, that's what we're doing here. Let's do something else. Now for the second look, we're gonna go with Inferno right away. And I know I couldn't mix this across the shades, but it's not how I'm looking at this palette. So that'll can be a future video, but I'm not looking at the palette like that right now. I'm looking at them as 2 separate 9 pans, and I just want to see what I can do with each palette separately. So I'm taking the same Dose of Colors brush and starting in the outer corner. And I might actually end up blending it out with Tomb. I might. Probably a little remnants of Dagger on here a little bit, but that's okay. It's adding to, it's giving it character. I'm gonna do a little more of Inferno and then we'll probably go into Dagger. Yep, so let me go, Tomb, what am I talking about? Let me go into Tomb. And I'm just gonna kind of go on the outskirts of Inferno. I just feel like it makes it a little softer, like that space between the brow bone and then where the transition starts. And this will probably all be covered up anyway, because I'm gonna go into the navy blue. So yes, love that. This is like anti-Valentine's Day. Let me know what anti-Valentine's Day means to you, because I was gathering some palettes for Valentine's Day and anti-Valentine's Day, and I'm like, what is anti-Valentine's Day? Like something that's not pink? And then I saw that there's like actually a real anti-Valentine's Day range, like from the 13th to the 15th, and it starts with like some type of slap day. I'm like, I'm not, I don't know if I'm here for all of that. Let me know if you know, because I don't know. So I'm going into Poison, and I'm going into Poison with this brush from Melt Cosmetics, and I'm gonna just start in the outer corner crease area. I do want this to be kind of a blue heavy look, because y'all know I'm trying to love my blues. And I'm probably gonna do this look in the same style, so hopefully that's not too boring. But I really like having the slight spotlight of the shimmer. I really enjoy that a lot, so why not? It works. And these mattes, they're really doing it for me. Like, okay, so okay, let's talk about blues. So maybe it's not teal, but the navies, I'm here for the navy. The navy is really doing it for me. So yes to the navy blue. And you know what? Damn, this could have done a third look, because I'm thinking, you know what would have been nice? Like the grays and the black. Oh my gosh, that, you know what that reminds me of? What year was it where we had those 2 colors for Pantone? 2021. It was gray and like the yellow. Yes, because it was like, you know, after, well, we thought was after COVID and everything. That would have been perfect for like that year for Pantone. But now we're Viva Magenta, so gotta work on something for that. Okay, so there's the blue, and I can go ahead and touch up in the inner corner shortly, but I'm gonna take Juliet. Now I'm not sure if Juliet is the same formula as this one. like looking in the camera, they look different. So let's just see what this is. I'm concerned. I'm a bit concerned, but we are gonna go ahead with it because this one's like a duochrome. This one's a duochrome too, but they're different. All right, let's just try it. We might have to add some enhancements. Ooh, I hear a delivery truck outside. But you know what? Didn't order anything. You know why? Because I'm trying to do better with my life. So it still sounds like it's in front of my house, though, is the concern. Actually, not so bad. Not so bad. You know, Nomad has sometimes shades that are more toppery, like the ones that they did for the holiday palette. And I really just wasn't into those. And then sometimes the shimmers look a little dustier, like the ones in the Provence palette. I thought the Provence palette was very interesting, but it just didn't really frost my cookies. But then the Costa Rica palette, those shimmers were an absolute yes. So it's like, I don't know how to tell which ones are gonna be which. But yes, now I could do this. Now we're gonna just blend out a little. I'm gonna take a Rephr 13 brush and nothing on it, just kind of blend it all out. Now taking a little bit of poison in the front part of the lid. And kind of just want to have a little gradient situation. I feel like something's outside my house, but I didn't order anything. So I can't even say I ordered anything. That's sad. Well, what I did order. What I did order is not going to be here. I ordered the Sydney Grace February bundle, but y'all already knew I was ordering that because I didn't say that. Oh, I could do this. Now let's go to the under eye with Inferno, which is the deeper gray. I think I'm going to be done with the navy blue. And for the inner corner highlight, I definitely want to use Moors, which is the gold. Grabbing a Sydney Grace flat shader into Moors, which is this gold. Nomad did a good job. I have to, of course, use the other side, but this side, yes. Oh, I'm into this one. And I don't think I have a palette that has a color story as such. Here's look number 1. Love this matte inner corner. And look number 2. And I'll be back to let you know what I'm thinking about these first 2 looks, but I think you already know. Okay, and this is the finished look. So I added a gray liner by Victoria Beckham Beauty. It's a matte on the lower lash line and a very thin layer on the top lashes. And then the Isamaya Beauty Rubber Lash Mascara. I'm pleased. I'm really, really happy with both sides. This is my favorite side though. The shimmer on this side, yes ma'am. The shimmer on this side was great too, but y'all know how I'm with blues. So I'm most likely gonna like, you know, this side better. But yes, y'all, oh my gosh. Mattes were great, shimmers were great. Didn't use the door line like I said I was going to because they just weren't those types of shimmers. I can't tell offhand what kind of shimmers Nomad is gonna use. I just, like when I look at them, I can't tell what they are until I actually use them. But I'm really happy with both of these looks. Like I almost can't talk right. I'm glad I decided to do 2 looks. And as I was saying, there's a third look there with the black and the gray and the gold being on the lid. So there's a lot to do with just those 9 shades. So now we're gonna get into the red shades. Let's get into 2 looks and see what we can do with that side. And then I'll be back to let you know what I think about it all together. All right, you guys, let's get into 2 looks with the love side of the palette. Now I started with the death side just because that's the one that really called to me first. Gonna try to do one look that's more pink and then one that is more red. I'm gonna start with the shade Paradise with a What's Up Beauty R103 brush. And this is what it looks like. It's just a taper blending brush. And I know with this palette, it may be a little awkward to hold. So if you hold it up and down with the side that you're working with, it's a little bit easier. All right, so I'm just gonna take Paradise and put it up close to the brow bone area. And you can kind of see it there. It's very faint, but it is showing up, which I like. Well, of course I would like that. And like, it's a really light pink, but I don't feel like it's ashy. Okay, so next I'm looking at Balcony here and then Rose. So I have swatched this, but let me see what they look like side by side on the fingers. So let's do Balcony here, and then we'll take Rose kind of on the outer corner. So I'm just using the same brush for Balcony and just focusing more in the crease. It's very bright, and I think that does blend really nicely. And now I'm gonna go into Rose, and of course we could use one of the red shades if we really wanted to deepen this up, but I'm just trying to see what kind of different looks we can get with the palette. And I'm wondering if you could build Balcony up to be as vibrant as the Rose shade. Going back into Paradise, just on this outer area to kind of diffuse it out and not have like a harsh line. So that's really pretty. This is reminding me a bit of, remember the BH Cosmetics Sweet Shops? It was the Cotton Candy palette. Is it cotton? No, Cherry on Top. Because the Cherry on Top palette, I believe, had some pinks in it. Because I didn't like the Cotton Candy one too much. That was the pink and purple one. Yes, okay. So looking at the shimmers, we have Cupid and then we have Romeo, but I'm definitely feeling Romeo. So let's go into that. I'm gonna try it with my finger first. And then if I feel like I need to spray it or something like that, I will do that. So yeah, this one is different than Tragedy. Tragedy so far is my favorite shade that I tried. This one, it's not like bad at all. And it is kind of opaque and it's a duochrome. We can just see how it'll do with a mixing medium or something. So let me grab that just to see. So I'm just grabbing my Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, and I have a Sydney Grace shader brush just to see if it will do anything extra for the shade. Now this Romeo shade is a bit hard pressed, and actually I think all the shimmers are hard pressed, but Tragedy comes up really, really easily. I think more easily than the Romeo shade. So I'm just gonna give it a spray with the Charlotte Tilbury. I don't know if that made much of a difference. I'm not sure. But let's also use Cupid right here. We'll do the same thing. And I am having to like kind of scrape over the pan. So Cupid has more of like the purple that we see in the shift of Romeo. Cupid, like that's the main shade. So that's actually pretty, but they're really hard pressed shimmers. This makes me feel like they may get hard panned a bit easily, but this does look nice. So I'm just gonna bring it into the inner corner as like that highlight shade. And then for the lower lash line, I'm gonna go into Rose with the same shader brush, just because I want to keep it close to the lash line. And then back into Balcony. All right, and there's our first look with the love side. And let me know your thoughts on that. So this is more of our pink look, and now we're gonna get into something a little more red. Now I do think mixing the pinks and the reds, I'm gonna see the difference, but I was really curious about how the pink shades would look. So I still don't know. I don't know if I could build Balcony up to look like Rose, because after like really swatching it, it's still, I don't know, they look really different right here though. All right, let's go into the second look. Now for this one, I wanna go into the shade Light. And this is a Bristles Beauty EO1 DL brush. So it's a like big fluffy blender. And that's gonna be good, hopefully, because these are really bright. And I want this to be a transition. So just going in really lightly with this one. This is a really pretty shade. All right, now we're gonna go into Love. Same brush, going into the crease. See if we can see a difference in the shade. I can see it in the mirror. I don't think you can see it right there. But once I blend it out, I'm not sure. And then now I'm gonna go into Quill for the outer corner. Now this one I know is gonna show up. So I'm just putting this in the outer corner and like the outer crease. And I really like how that looks because it's making it really smoky. All right, next we're gonna go into Comedy. This shimmer reminds me of one of the ones from the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 palette. I can't remember which shade it is, but it just reminds me of it a little bit. Like this like kind of red with the golden flecks, which I really, really like. For the under eye, I'm going back into Quill. And then back into Light, which was the transition shade. And then what I want to do is take the shade Moors, because I don't think I used that. I can't remember. Maybe I did. But I'm going to take that with a pencil brush and use that as the inner corner highlight. And I'm going to spray it. All right, and here is the second look. And I like this because these two looks look a lot different than I was expecting with this palette. So I think that is really good to note. All right, I'm gonna finish off these two looks and I'll be back to let you know what I'm thinking about the palette overall. Okay, you guys, I'm back with the final look, or looks. So I really, really like both of these looks. If I had to choose though, it would be this one. Like I love how this looks. And to finish off the look, I used the Victoria Beckham liner in the shade Bordeaux. So it's kind of like a burgundy color. It's a matte liner. The lipstick I have on the Charlotte Tilbury Hyaluronic Lipstick Lip Balm in Happy Petal. So yes, y'all. Okay. So let me give you my final thoughts about this palette. So when I think about my favorite Nomad palettes, the ones that come to mind, the top two, would have to be the Haunted Europe palette and then the America's Parks palette. So this is gonna be a third. I'm not sure of the ranking or the order. Ooh, but you know what, your other one was good, but I didn't use it a lot. The Costa Rica palette. That's a maybe. But as far as color story, this Death Side is probably one of the most unique things that I can think of, like as a 9-pan palette on its own. When I look at the like Love Side, it did remind me of the BH Cosmetics Sweet Shops, the Cherry on Top and the Cotton Candy palette. It's like a little combo of that, like a little edit, you know? And so I really like this side as well. And I think what I like the most about this side is that I was very weary of how much variety I was going to be able to get with this side of the palette, but I can clearly see a difference between the two sides. So I really like that. I love this. I really do. And this format for the Nomad palette, they only had one other palette like this. I don't know if this is my favorite format, you know, because it's not the most comfortable, but it is interesting, you know. I think that they could have done this separately and just made two separate 9 pans, and then maybe people would have just gotten the side that they wanted. But I don't know, I'm happy with both sides, and I know there are some super creative people out here that will mix the two sides, and I can see some potential looks with both sides, maybe using like these shades together, maybe with the black, something like that. But for the most part, I think when I use this palette, I'm gonna use them as two separate palettes. That's just kind of how I see it, but I'm really happy with it. I think my favorite shade in the whole palette has to be the shade Tragedy. I really like that shimmer. I love how easily it picked up, and just the look that it had. It was just really pretty, really shifty. The other shimmers are a bit hard pressed. You have to kind of scrape them a little bit. And I mean, that would be like my only critique. The mattes are great. Like, they blend it out beautifully. So I don't have any complaints about this palette. I think it is wonderful. Another hit for Nomad Cosmetics. And you know what? Sometimes the color stories with Nomad can be hit or miss, but I have that same feeling about every brand. Is there a brand that I like every single color story? Probably not. So I just know that some themes I'm gonna like and some aren't gonna be my favorite, but this one, it definitely, I have to say, top 3. I really like it a lot. As always, thank you to Nomad Cosmetics for thinking of me and sending this to me. I know I'm not someone that's able to get looks up right away, and they still, you know, want to include me on their PR list. So I really, really do appreciate them for that. Thank you again, Nomad. And if you did not purchase this palette and you want to, my code is FrizzFace. It's not affiliated, like I don't get a commission or anything from it, but you'll save 10%. So yeah, this was really, really fun to play with. And I'm glad I decided to do 2 looks with each side, because there is a lot of versatility here, and I didn't even cross the sides. You know, we stayed with love and we stayed with death, but mixing it, that's a whole nother realm of possibilities. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for another Mimosas and Makeup. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. And until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice, stay safe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.